Hello and welcome to a Firstpost POV. US President Donald Trump is revamping the immigration strategy like we've never seen before. He has unveiled a Trump Gold Card, which is now selling for $1 million. You pay $1 million and you get a fast track to US citizenship, including permanent residency and work. You can see that Gold Card right there on your screen. At the same time, he's also curbing immigration from so-called third world countries. He's attacking migrants from Afghanistan and Somalia. And here in India, we are seeing a lot of confusion about the H-1B visas because thousands of applicants are saying that their interviews have been delayed because of Trump's so-called social media vetting. He's asking people who want a visa to submit their social media history for the past 5 years. The question is, what do these rejigs mean for people who are looking to travel to the United States, both for tourism and for work? Let me put some of these questions to my guest, Rosanna Berardi, who's a managing partner at the Berardi immigration firm. She's basically an expert in US immigration law. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Firstpost.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about this Gold Card first. Is this a new form of visa that the US president has unveiled, or is this a new pathway to an existing visa program?
Well, it's interesting. We haven't seen this before because the president does not have the legal authority to create new pathways to green cards. That stands solely with Congress. So as an immigration lawyer, we are advising people to not pursue a gold card. We do not think this is lawful or legal in any way. President Trump loves to sell things. He's trying to sell green cards to the United States. He is not able to legally do this. So while the website for this green card / gold card is live and allows you to pay an exorbitant filing fee, we are advising all of our clients to not pursue it because this will be legally challenged. And the processing fee is non-refundable and starts at $15,000.
So is there a possibility that someone decides to pay this $15,000 application fee, the $1 million as the so-called gift that President Trump says, he gets the gold card, but then the US courts just decide this is not valid and therefore they lose the gold card and the right to stay in the United States? That's a possibility right now.
It can be. The interesting part that no one's really talking about is it's not a matter of filling out a form and paying $1 million as well as the filing fee. There's also a component that requires the applicant to show they're a person of extraordinary ability, meaning in their 1% top of their field. We're not sure how the government's going to assess these applications, the impact of the $1 million contribution, as they're calling it. We don't know, and our fear is if somebody does decide to pursue this and a court says this is not lawful, we're not sure if they're going to get their money back. So all in all, this is a terrible idea. The Trump administration loves the soundbite that accompanies this, but we are recommending everyone to please do not pursue it at this time.
Right. Now, the gold card is being pitched as permanent residency plus a fast track to US citizenship. And on the off chance that the courts do deem it legal and allow it to continue, how would this gold card be different from, say, the green card, which already exists as a pathway to citizenship? Because that's a question on a lot of people's mind. They're on the green card. Should they now go for a gold card? What's the difference?
So if someone has a valid United States green card, they should keep it. Under the proposed rules, which they're very vague at this point, this gold card would allow citizenship, but to do that, typically it takes 5 years. You need to hold the green card for 5 years. It appears that the gold card will be the same. There's very little detail, so my advice is if you have a green card, keep it. Ignore this. This is a lot of noise right now, and there are very few details.
Is there a possibility that because there's a $1 million fee associated with this, and that's a prerequisite to get this gold card, is there a possibility that people who are not essentially friends of the United States, perhaps like a Russian oligarch or an arms dealer or somebody who's escaping the law, could those people also theoretically pay this $1 million and be on the pipeline to enter the United States?
Well, they surely could pay the $1 million. The question is whether they would get through the extreme vetting of applicants that is occurring across the board. So in theory, yes. In reality, unlikely, unless there was some type of security glitch.
Right. Now let's talk about the other major change that President Trump has introduced, which is the so-called social media screening. If you want to travel to the United States, if you want a visa, you have to submit 5 years of your social media history, and you've got to make your account public so that the State Department can access this information. Is there anything in American law against this demand? Because we know that people inside the United States are protected by the US law. But if I'm applying, for instance, from India, would I be protected by the US Constitution or the laws against giving up that information, or does that sort of a protection not exist?
So that protection does not exist for anybody that is outside of the United States. So if you're inside of the United States, you do have the right to privacy. But anyone that is applying from abroad, it doesn't matter which country, the courts and the Constitution clearly state that the security of the nation and the borders is trumps, for a lack of better word, any privacy concerns. So even though privacy organizations do not like this, it's really something that I think the administration has the authority to do and is trying to implement it across the board. We saw it earlier this year with international students. We're seeing it now with H-1Bs. We're seeing the proposed regulation for the ESTA countries to reveal this type of information.
Right. Now, we know that what's happening with the H-1B applications is also worrying, because here in India, people say that thousands of people suddenly found out in last-minute emails that their interview dates have been pushed back. What should those people be doing? Are there challenges against asking the US government to give up this information? Should they wait for perhaps courts to decide whether Trump's request is legal? Should they not stay in line and look for other options? What would be your advice to those people?
So if you're in the United States as an H-1B holder, our advice is to remain in the United States. Do not leave. I know the holidays are upon us. I know people have family obligations. Our best advice right now is do not leave the United States if you're here in H-1B status. We cannot guarantee what's going to happen at a U.S. consulate or embassy abroad. And what we're seeing in the last week or so, as you said, is thousands of visa appointments being canceled, rescheduled until April. If you are abroad applying for an H-1B or H-4 status, it is a very problematic time. There are many immigration groups, such as the American Immigration Lawyers, that are trying to unwind this and to find out why all of a sudden this is happening. But for right now, if you're in that situation where your visa appointment has been canceled, you need to reach out to your immigration lawyer for case-specific advice so we can try to unpack this.
Is there any clarity in the United States right now about why this information is being asked? Because the State Department says this is about national security, that every visa application request is a national security decision, and therefore they will give more scrutiny to this. But is that really the case? Is there more of a political angle? Perhaps criticism against Trump could be a problem. What's the assessment in the United States about why the US is asking for this information?
Well, the administration goes back to the memo that they issued on Inauguration Day back in January saying we are tightening national security, whether that's at the borders, the consulates, the embassies. We are going to protect America. And we've seen this rolled out gradually in the spring with international students with the H-1B $100,000 filing fee. We're now seeing it across the board. Is it politically motivated? Perhaps, but this is in line with the Trump administration's messaging that if you want to come to America, it's going to be difficult. You're going to be vetted at a very high level. You're going to have to reveal a lot of things about your past. And I think it's the overall part of their messaging, and there may be some political underlines also.
Now, the president also issued that post saying that he would curb migration and refugee requests from all third world countries. Now, first of all, the US law, I don't think, establishes something or a category of countries called third world. Has he issued an order to that effect? And what's the status of people from others, these so-called third world countries, who are applying for migration requests into the United States?
So he said that, off the cuff, really unprovoked. We haven't seen that translated into policy yet. He's complaining about third world country nationals coming to the United States. As you correctly indicated, there is no provision under the law that prohibits that. The United States immigration law since day one allows people from all over the globe to enter the United States through legal channels. I'm hoping that was an off-the-cuff remark. We've not seen anything into formal policy as of this time. So for individuals from those countries, I would say it's business as usual. They may be vetted at a higher level because of that comment, but it remains to be seen.
Right. Finally, let me just ask you, what do you think is the broader message from the administration so far when you join all these dots, whether it's the gold card that's selling for $1 million, whether that's the extra curbs and the checks on the H-1B visas, whether that's the so-called complete ban on migration from third world countries? What's the message from the Trump administration to the world? Who should come to the United States and who should not?
So I think the broad messaging that we heard on the campaign trail, that we've heard since January 21st of this year, is that if you want to come to America, you need to be a squeaky clean applicant, meaning you're not anti-American, you don't engage in anti-American political rhetoric, you don't have a criminal record, you don't have ties to any group that may be anti-American. And so the administration is saying, on one hand, we want perfect applicants coming in. But on the other hand, this week they're saying, but if you have $1 million, we'll let you in. Now, that is typical Donald Trump messaging in terms of let's make money for America. This will be a great contribution in a way to raise a lot of capital for our country that is severely in debt. However, I would argue all day long that that gold card is unlawful. The administration does not have the authority at the executive level to create this type of card. If this type of card wants to be created, it needs to go through Congress and all of the traditional rulemaking. So we've got the administration talking on both sides of their mouth. On one hand, they're saying we're shutting it down to only, really law-abiding applicants. On the other hand, they're saying, but if you have $1 million, we'll talk to you.
Right. Well, this does sound like a very erratic and at the same time a discriminatory policy from the outside, which is also why there are so much questions and there's a lot of confusion on what it means for people who want to travel to the United States or perhaps work there or settle down there. Thank you so much for joining us and answering some of those questions and hopefully solving some of the confusion in the minds of our viewers. Thank you for joining us on First Post.
Thank you for having me.
I was born into revolution. I inherited power like a crown. What I delivered was isolation. I built a personality cult that touched every home. Millions suffered hunger under my rule, but no one dared to speak. I ruled from palaces. My people queued for rice. I called myself the dear leader. History calls me something else. The dictator. Who am I?